Welcome back to the Show. Tonight we are reading Harry Potter and the Natural20, Chapter 8, Side Quests. The antidote, as it turned out, was harmless. That didn't stop Milo from buffing himself up with a resistance spell and keeping his antitoxin on hand before taking his dosage, however. Despite the fact that, aided by Snape's potion, Milo recovered from the after effects of his poisoning fairly quickly, the rest of autumn at Hogwarts was, well, unpleasant. Harry and Ron made absolutely no progress in their hunt for information about the Philosopher's Stone among the teachers, and for such a famous and powerful artifact, Milo could barely find anything about it in the Hogwarts library. He scholars touched his way through mountains of thick, dusty tomes without even opening their covers, and while he learned a lot of apparently useless information, there was little that seemed relevant to him. Scholar's Touch didn't grant any special powers to aid in memorization, so the fact that he read the book so rapidly actually made it harder to keep his facts straight. Still, he reckoned he'd absorbed enough general setting information that he could start making knowledge history checks about this world. It was during this period that Milo noticed something unnatural about the people here. The more he watched them learn, the less he was sure that they were even human at all. They looked human, sure, but, well, to start, there was the food. People here were obsessed with it, and kept comparing the various flavors of dishes the house elves cooked up for them. Milo was dying to meet one of the elves here. He was sure they could help him. Elves were annoying, sure, but the pointy-eared pansies and magic went hand in hand. Some even developed favorite foods and avoided certain ones altogether. To Milo, food was a logistical challenge to be overcome while adventuring, and a source of danger if it ran low. Thus, the everlasting rations, which were all that Milo ever ate. The actual taste of food was something that only came up in plot-relevant situations, like smell and the weather. The people of Milo's world only smelled things when they were important, like a troglodyte stench or a potential clue, or red herring for that matter. Otherwise, why bother even mentioning it? Another peculiarity in these people was the inordinate amount of downtime they required. Milo had to spend 8 hours sleeping and an hour memorizing spells, but that left 15 hours a day to put to use attending class, fighting monsters, and crafting items off-screen. Milo knew an artificer by the name of Elton, who, when he finally got his hands on a ring of sustenance, spent 2 hours sleeping, 8 hours crafting magic items, the maximum amount per day, and the other 14 hours in a day mass-producing baskets to fund his adventuring. Elton did that every day for 300 years straight, with breaks to fight monsters to recover lost experience points, until he'd amassed a fortune large enough to attract the attention of a wandering blue dragon. Elton's unfortunate demise aside, it was just good sense to put their hours to use. They were only given 24 in a day, after all. And besides, manual labor was the sort of thing done during a time skip anyways. It's not like it got in the way of the story. Even Hermione seemed shocked by the amount of time he spent reading and working. In just 1 week, Milo managed to custom tailor his fifth-hand Hogwarts uniform. Untrained, but with +2 for masterwork duels, which Milo also made himself, and +4 from his intelligence, until it rivaled Draco's in quality. Read more books than any of his classmates, save Hermione, could in a year, and carved holy symbols of Palor, Hieronymus, St. Cuthbert, and Bocup into key locations around Gryffindor Tower. That had earned him some strange looks, despite the fact that the residents there were fully aware that there were vampires on the same continent as them. That was all in addition to the daily chores all first-year Gryffindors were required to do as punishment for trying to kill or maim the Slytherins back in September. Milo theorized that while he had to spend an hour poring over his spellbook, performing arcane research, and memorizing spells each morning, The wizards here had to spend about 4 to 8 hours a day, judging by comparisons between Hermione and Ron, the wisdom amount equal to 8 minus their intelligence bonus in hours per day, sitting around on armchairs and talking about the weather. But that wasn't the really weird thing. The more Milo watched these students in their classes, the harder a time he had sleeping at night. The way they were learning was wrong. It was, so incredibly wrong. Ordinary people learned in discrete increments. They leveled up, their powers, skills, and abilities increased. And then they plateaued until attaining enough experience points to go up another level. It was just obvious. That was, intuitively, the way everyone, humans, elves, dwarves, kobolds, mind flayers, small fluffy hamsters, everyone learned. Watching his fellow Gryffindors, Milo wondered, though it seemed impossible, if their skills didn't develop gradually. There seemed to be a slow, constant growth in magical ability, historical knowledge, broomstick skills, or whatever, that depended on that student's particular aptitude in that area. Hermione, for example, was the fastest to learn in Defense Against the Dark Arts, Charms, Transfiguration, Potions, Herbology, Astrology, actually pretty much all of their classes except for Broomstick Flying, which went to Harry, who was also, to be fair, pretty close to even Hermione in defense, and History of Magic. To Milo's intense embarrassment, it was the only class he seemed to be doing any good in, and even that was only as a result of his supersonic library binge. That wasn't to say that Milo was completely useless in class. It was just, he had to wait and hope that whatever particular charm, this world had a totally different definition of charm than Milo's, which caused him no end of confusion. They were about to learn was fairly close to his limited repertoire of spells, so he could fake his way through. If it wasn't, having to be helped by Neville Longbottom when attempting to learn the cutting charm was somewhat embarrassing. Transfiguration wasn't too bad. He managed to get by, to a certain extent, with using prestidigitation to change the color, and on one memorable occasion, taste, of the object he was attempting to transfigure. He started out ahead, but now he was barely scraping an A, which stood for acceptable, and was, counterintuitively, the lowest passing grade. But if he didn't get some new spells soon, he'd slip into P for poor territory with alacrity. Charms was going distressingly poorly until Flitwick announced they'd be learning how to levitate objects. Milo simply cast Levitate quietly, then said Wingardium Levioso with the rest of them, and astonished the class and earned him 5 house points by lifting an entire table, complete with Neville, who had been leaning against it and grabbed him with the legs in panic, as it started to float away, and lowering it back down again. Defense Against the Dark Arts was kind of pointless. Quirrell, for all the mystery surrounding him, didn't seem to care whatsoever about teaching. What they did learn was mostly limited to dealing with magical household pests. Milo was forced to wonder what the Muggles did when confronted with a bowtruckle in their trees, or if magical creatures had an inbuilt sense of decency and fair play, and as a result only targeted humans carrying wands. Milo caused quite a stir when he suggested the best way to deal with vampires was to impair them with webs, glitter dust, and grease, so that your non-spellcaster allies can take them out with wooden stakes. You would bring Muggles with you? Quirrell had asked, sounding genuinely shocked. Well, sure. You don't see many a wizard pumping irons or practicing hand-to-hand combat, now do you? Deck him out in full plate, give him a pointy stick, and point him in the right direction. It was incredible. They seemed to have never heard of the concept of a meat shield, and even the Slytherins were shocked and appalled when he attempted to educate them. That there was something morally questionable about sending the heavily armored great axe-wielding barbarian with mighty thews out front to soak up damage had never occurred to Milo. It seemed to him that the wizards here were remarkably selfish, never giving a thought to how their non-magical allies would feel when the spellcasters hogged all the glory and XP with their vastly superior powers. Broomstick lessons, however, were dreadful. Milo had come to the conclusion that the broomsticks weren't actually magical at all, but that the local wizards had a spell or class feature that let them animate certain broomsticks, probably with a specific cost requirement, which is why they didn't use ordinary cleaning mops for flight. Milo, not having said spell or perk, was completely unsuccessful in making the thrice-damned stick float, and finally gave up and levitated the accursed thing. This let him go up and down, but to move horizontally, he had to awkwardly kick off of walls and objects. He felt like a 6-year-old who'd accidentally been signed up for swimming lessons for 8-year-olds, and was desperately trying to dog paddle around the room while everyone else was demonstrating backstrokes. The worst, the absolute worst, was potions. Snape seemed to go out of his way to make Harry's life as miserable as possible, which was annoying. But the concerning thing was how he always kept a very close eye on Milo. Thing was, the potions didn't work. He chopped up the ingredients exactly how the book suggested, made sure to turn the spoon clockwise 3 times and counterclockwise 1.5 times, or whatever, but nothing happened. Even Neville's potions occasionally exploded, or melted, or screamed, or caught fire, or in one case, got up and ran out of the room blabbering about the Kennedy assassination. But Milo's potions, though Milo would bet his spellbook he was doing everything right, were just water with stuff floating in them. Whenever one of Harry's potions failed catastrophically, Snape would deduct house points and scold him, but whenever he noticed that Milo's was use-impaired, Milo was hesitant to call them useless, because they could still be, and frequently were, employed to put out fires. Snape just smiled to himself and made a note in the compact, leather-bound notebook he carried around on his person. It was that evening that Milo learned about Halloween. "So, what are you going as?" Hannah Abbott asked him. She seemed to enjoy sitting next to him at meals for some inexplicable reason. Milo only bothered to go to the Great Hall for dinner, as opposed to munching on everlasting rations in the storm, because he'd noticed a correlation between mealtimes there and having important conversations. Milo blinked in surprise. Being knocked out of time skip was rather like spending the whole day reading a good book, then remembering you had a party to go to, but the book was so good that you read it the whole way on the bus and were completely distracted and absent-minded all evening, until you hear someone say your name from the other side of the room and snap, broken out of your reverie, just like that. "Sorry, say that again?" Milo asked. "I was distracted." "I was just asking what you were going to dress up for on Halloween," Hannah asked. "No, that still doesn't make any sense. What's Halloween?" Hannah blinked, shook her head slightly, and blinked again. She looked like someone had just asked her what a natural 20 was. "You don't even know? Everyone knows what Halloween is," she exclaimed. Milo sighed. "Look, I've been over this. I wasn't raised by wizards, etc., etc. Fill me in." "No, but even muggles know about Halloween," Hannah said. "I'm not from around here, remember?" "Well, I guess. It's a holiday where everyone dresses up as monsters and goes around taking candy from strangers," Hannah said. "Which always confused me a little, because that's exactly what Mom is always reminding me not to do." "I see," said Milo. "That seems terribly mundane, actually. Surely I didn't get pulled out of compressed time for that." Milo frowned. "Harry, is Halloween written on your list anywhere?" Let me check," Harry said and flipped through his lengthy list of notes. "Nope, not at all." "Try All Hallows Eve," Hermione suggested. "And Samhain." "Hey, I thought you weren't helping," Ron pointed out. "I'm not. I'm just advising. Oh, and Harry, try looking for October 31st. Advising is helping, and of course Halloween is significant for Harry, Ron said. "Everyone knows." Oh, right, sorry, I forgot. "Anyway, it's the day that Harry defeated you-know-who 10 years ago." "You mean the day when my parents..." Harry sighed. "No, right, sorry." "Still don't see what's important about that," Milo said. Hermione shot him a look that could curdle milk, nodding slightly towards Harry. "I mean, aside from, being tragic. Just tragic. Terrible, that is. Tragic and terrible. Oh, whew, Milo said. Don't worry about it. Oh, whew, Milo said, relieved, before moving on to what he saw as more pressing issues. Anyways, 10th anniversary of you-know-who's alleged demise? Dumbledore doesn't look very concerned, Milo said, nodding to the eccentric headmaster at the head table, meaning there was nothing about it in the prophecy. Wait, what prophecy? Hermione asked. There's always a prophecy, Hermione, Milo rolled his eyes. Everyone knows that. Point for his side, Ron muttered. I hadn't realized we were keeping score, Hermione said sharply. We're Quidditch players, Ron said, nodding to Harry. We always keep score. So, when's this Halloween thing? Milo asked. October 31st, Hannah supplied. Tomorrow. Hermione, Milo said, if I'm right, and something dramatic does happen tomorrow evening, will you admit I'm right, that Snape is evil, that the Philosopher's Stone is involved, that it's maybe even at Hogwarts, in or about the clearly relevant third-floor corridor, that you-know-who isn't really dead, and that... Wait, was there something else? No, I think that's about it. Anyway, will you? Nope, Hermione said simply. Because there's absolutely no correlation between any of those events. Say tomorrow the Chamber of Secrets is opened and Muggleborns start dying. There's no connection between that and you-know-who being alive. If you-know-who is alive, that's absolutely no reason to think that Snape is, quote, evil. If Snape is evil, that's no reason to think that the Philosopher's Stone is in Hogwarts. Unless Snape releases Slytherin's monsters to use as a distraction so he can get the stone to bring you-know-who back to life. That would make perfect sense, actually. Can the Philosopher's Stone do that? The great Hermione Granger asking a question, Milo laughed. Well, mine can. That is, the Philosopher's Stone from my universe can bring back the dead. What? Harry asked quietly. Really? Sure, said Milo. Of course, any old cleric can do the same for a few gold pieces and some diamond powder, so I don't really see what the big deal is. Harry choked on his food. What? Raise dead, resurrection, true resurrection, reincarnate, revivify, miracle, and wish, Milo said, ticking off his fingers as he listed the spells. Are all spells that can bring back the dead, to name a few. You can bring the dead back to life? Harry asked. Me? Bocop, no. It's really more divine spellcaster territory, I think, but I'd have to do a little research to be sure. Wizards have to use Wish to do it, and it's really powerful magic, demands a huge sacrifice of experience. In any case, it's way beyond my abilities. Oh, said Harry, looking crestfallen. Milo, Hermione said acidly, you and I will have words about this later. You're going to have to learn tact one of these days, even if I have to shove it down your throat at one point. Point for her side, Ron said. Oh, shut up. So the Philosopher's Stone can bring back the dead? Hermione asked. What? Oh, no. Yours can't, anyways. From what I found in the library, just turns stuff into gold and lets you live forever. Well, that's never mind, Hermione said, glancing at Harry. That's a what, Hermione? Harry asked. Well, it means you-know-who can't come back, so it's kind of a relief, isn't it, that the stone can't bring back the dead, Harry pushed. Yes, if you must know, that's what I was going to say. But that was before I thought about it and stopped myself, because I didn't initially think it through the whole way. Fair enough, Harry said. I think I missed something here, Ron admitted quietly to Milo. Hermione was about to say it was a relief that the Philosopher's Stone can't bring back the dead. Right now, Harry's thinking about his parents, Milo explained in a whisper. So she was as good as saying that it'd be worth it that we couldn't bring back Harry's folks, as well as anyone else decent who died, just to keep you-know-who down. Let's try to stay on topic, okay? Harry asked. Right, sorry, Hermione apologized. Forget it. What should we do about tomorrow? Harry wondered. Tell a professor, Hermione shrugged. can't very well go up to McGonagall and say, "Excuse me, Professor, tomorrow's Halloween, and Milo's spidey sense is tingling, so can you lock down the school, just to be sure?" "She'd think we were nuts, for sure," Harry said. "What's a spidey sense?" Ron asked. Harry suppressed a grin. "Blimey, you don't even know what the spider sense is? Everyone knows that. It's Spider-Man's ability to sense danger before it happens," Harry said. "How on earth did you become 11 years old and not know that?" "Point for his side," Hermione smirked. "But Harry makes a good point. The reason it sounds crazy is because it still is crazy." "You're too hung up on actual, facts, Hermione," Milo said. "Just be on your toes tomorrow, okay? That goes for everyone." In all seriousness, what could I possibly do, even on my toes? Use the levitating charm to save the day? Transfigure up some sewing needles? I've only been a witch for 2 months. I'll stay inside the castle tomorrow, not that I have much choice, because someone got us all a full year of detention. Aside from that, I don't know about you, but I'm going to enjoy Halloween and family tradition passed down the Granger line for generations by revising and doing homework. Exams are only 8 months away, after all. She sighed, a slightly dreamy expression coming over her. I do so love Halloween. Which brings me to the matter at hand. Harry, Ron, I have to go now. What? Asked Harry. What? Asked Ron. I said that already. Yeah, but I was confused too, right? I just don't think it added much, is all. It was, redundant. I think it's considered polite to say learning disabled now, actually, said Ron primly, and I don't care for your tone at all. Hermione coughed. Right, why were we leaving her, Hermione? Harry asked. For a very important thing that we have to do far over there, she said, pointing frantically to the far corner of the Great Hall. You know, the thing. Nope, Hermione. Sorry, Ron said. I think you've lost a marble, or 10. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, just get up and walk, Weasley, Potter. Or I swear I'll think of something, she threatened. And mark my words, I am very good at thinking of things. Very, very good. Bwahaha. Did you just say bwahaha? Harry asked. Pardon. I seem to have caught the hiccups, Hermione said. Only, that didn't sound like a hiccup, Ron said. It was more of a, evil laugh sort of thing. Nope, it was a hiccup. What would an 11-year-old girl be doing laughing evilly? I hiccuped. I even covered my mouth and everything. Only, aren't you 12? Asked Ron. Ron, mate, I think we should just go with her. It's less painful that way, Harry whispered. Fine, Ron muttered, and they stood up and walked away. Hermione kept glancing surreptitiously. Fuck, I can't pronounce that word. Back at Milo and Hannah. Well, Milo said, taking a bite out of his everlasting rations. That was weird. Yeah, kinda, Hannah agreed evasively. Anyway, about Halloween tomorrow? He thinks he's so clever. He thinks he's so clever, Malfoy sneered. He has no idea what's coming to him. Yeah, said Crabbe. Right, said Goyle. Or Crabbe, but you get the idea, right? After the last one, he acted like he didn't care, but you could tell. Oh, man, you could tell. He looked close. Real close, Malfoy said. I got him. Like, right to the core. Just wish I saw him read the paper. Yeah, we got him deep down, said Crabbe. Yeah, we got him so deep you need a bubblehead charm to swim down there to see, said Goyle. Yeah, so deep you'd die from the pressure. Okay, guys, seriously, stop that. You aren't helping. Yeah, you're not helping, Goyle. Said Goyle. Wait, Crab? Said Crab. Whew, close call. Yeah, you're just making things worse, Crab, said Goyle. Draco rolled his eyes. This time, Draco said, this time I'll get him so bad he won't be even be able to hide it. He'll be begging for mercy. And you know what I'll do then? Relent, as he's seen the error of his ways, and demonstrate your kind, forgiving personality, suggested Goyle. Relent, and buy him a puppy, said Crab. A fluffy one, so he doesn't feel so bad about losing. Draco gave him a peculiar look. Seriously, what was with these two? Nah, I'll kick him, he cackled. Yeah, said Crab. Yeah, added Goyle, not wanting to feel left out. Goyle frowned, which made his forehead look a little like Mount Etna would if it collapsed, slowly, and said, So, boss, what's the plan? The plan? You want to know the plan? Yeah, boss, so's we can help, said Crab. Yeah, boss, so's we can know the plan, said Goyle. I'll tell you the plan. It'll all go down tomorrow, Draco said. Do you know what day it is tomorrow? Thursday? No! Shrieked Malfoy. Well, actually, yes. Tomorrow is Thursday, but that's not what's important. Friday? No! Wait, what? Look, Goyle, I just said that tomorrow is Thursday. Surely, even you, I mean, really? Well, you also said it wasn't what was important, so I thought maybe the important thing about tomorrow is that, well, it's Thursday, it's really Friday, you know? Said Malfoy. No, not really. Look, guys, we're getting off topic. It's not about the day of the week, okay? Oh, I love this game, said Goyle. Is it smaller than a bread box? Well, kind of, I guess, in an abstract sort of sense. Tomorrow is bigger than a bread box. Wait, no, we're not playing 20 questions. Just guess, okay? It's, like, really obvious. Here's a hint, even. Today's the 30th of October, so tomorrow is... Friday, said Crab. You're fired. You're both fired. The 31st, said Goyle. Yes! Malfoy resisted, barely, the temptation to fist bump. And what happens every year on October 31st? Halloween, said Crab. No, well... Yeah, again, kind of. But once again, you're right, but completely wrong. Tomorrow is the Northwestern Regional Semifinals for the UK Quidditch League. Oh, Crab cackled. Goyle crackled too. I'm confused, Ron admitted. Well, there's a surprise. Look, Milo explained. A side quest is a short adventure, at most tangentially related to the major events of the story, used primarily for character development. Character development? Asked Ron. Yeah. Getting halls of XP, magic items, and gold, thus making your character more powerful, or developed. Character development. Harry frowned. Look, unlike you two, I actually went to primary school, and I'm fairly certain that's not actually what character development means. Irregardless, Milo began. Not a word, Harry muttered. Says the boy on the Quidditch team. Anyways, regardless, there. Happy? Of the meaning of character development, side quests are brief excursions, more focused on a single idea, generally simpler, and where most of the best loot comes from. And that's why you're going on a date with the cute blonde? Asked Fred. Or George, but we're not starting this again, okay? Not a date, a side quest, corrected Milo. He, Ron, Harry, and the Weasley twins were sitting in a corner in the common room. Milo had planned to coordinate his Halloween schedule with them, so they'd all know where the others would be at any given time. for when, invariably, disaster struck. But the conversation had taken an unexpected turn when he'd filled them in on his conversation with Hannah. On a secluded, dare I say, private walk around the Hogwarts lake, said George. Where, being right out in the open, of course, everyone can see you. Yeah, an adventure past a body of water filled to the brim with monsters of every sort, said Milo. Ah, I see, Fred said knowingly. So you can protect the fair maiden, eh? Well, if I have to. She's a witch, though. She should be more than competent in defending herself. I think, Fred, said George, that he's not really getting into the spirit of things. I'm forced to agree, George. She said she wanted to talk with me alone for a while, Milo shrugged. So I just assumed she had some critical information she has to pass along, or possibly a magic item. For all I know, she'll give me a quest. Maybe she has some sensitive information, if you know what I... never mind. You know, said Fred. Yeah, it's just not working. He seems to be immune to teasing, admitted George. Such a shame. Missed opportunity. A wasted chance. A moment passed, never to return. Such a shame. No, we actually said that one already, said Fred. Ah, nuts, said George. And here I was, getting all zen. Well, one way or another, Fred said. I think you're going to have a very interesting Halloween. Quirrell paced back and forth irritably in his office. He just had to think. There must be some way to get rid of that boy. How did he know? How could he possibly know that the Dark Lord was returning? Dumbledore must have told him, Quirrell thought. No, that explains nothing. How could Dumbledore himself know? And the boy had just told him. He'd come out and said it like it was obvious. Obvious! To anyone with half a brain. He'd even named his 3 fences accomplices. Was it a trap? A test of some sort? Perhaps the boy had been bluffing, to gauge Quirrell's reaction? Irregardless, it didn't matter. The boy had to die. Snape would make things difficult, though he seemed to know, somehow. The only times the accursed potions master isn't watching the boy, Quirrell thought. He's watching me. He must be trying to protect the boy. They're all in it together. That's what they were doing out in the forest. Snape went out to meet Milo in the Forbidden Forest, to discuss how to stop me. It's too much of a coincidence to be anything else. They must think they're so clever. But if they were really clever, they wouldn't have let me notice. No, they weren't half as sneaky as they thought. Well, it'll all happen tomorrow, if everything goes according to plan. No, there's no if about it. A power he knows not. Quirrell heard the horrible, hissing voice say behind him. What was that, Master? Nothing that need concern you. The voice lashed out at him, like a cobra. Then the pain started. It would be a long night for Quirrell. And that was Harry Potter and the Natural 20, Chapter 8, Side Quests. Read by the masterful writer SirPoley. Read by the Shou. Hit like and comment and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you again in the next episode. Have a good night. Bye-bye.